Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and Mscribe, and today another Bitmap Takeover.
Yeah, another week in the books.
Yeah. So I guess let's just start with Magic Eden. So we got 23,100 holders still.
Okay, so that's the same number we experienced last week, right? So
Yeah.
we're at a, Bitmaps has been like continually gaining more and more users pretty much on a weekly basis since it began.
Yeah.
This is the first week I'd say where we're at a pause, right?
No, it's kind of slowed down, but
yeah, okay, maybe not like an absolute pause, but definitely a slowdown. Yeah,
there's still a lot left to be built on the infrastructure side of things. Like for example, right now we're looking at bitmaps, but each of these little squares that you see in these bitmaps could be parcels,
right?
And we're in the middle of implementing parcelization using parent-child infrastructure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once that gets done, then there's going to be a lot of incentives for people to connect their bitmaps to like places like Mscribe, and then you can parcel out. Anybody can come in and inscribe a parcel.
What incentives do you foresee? Because you use the just by allowing the mechanism of parcelization isn't like a reason to.
It's like think of it as like a mechanism to onboard a community. Right? Let's say you have a bitmap and then you have like a community, a bunch of followers, and they want to kind of build together, right? That would be one way to do it.
See, okay, now the new keyword is build. Build using what?
All the tools that exist out there from Recursiverse. We have inscribe.space. Like Iman so Chris.
Yeah. So basically, it's merging the existing tools and infrastructure that have been built, like to render some type of 3D environment.
Correct.
Some kind of customizable feature set that exists, which they are out there. Merging that with like now the community onboarding mechanism of parcelization of your district.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then if you think about it just a little bit more deeper from like a DMT perspective, like what if a parcel contained a pattern that you want to inscribe? Right, so that's an incentive to go after certain parcels that contain a pattern that you want as an asset.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of these things I guess are mid construction, right? So until all these different components, because we've broken them down in the past, these are like it's like a 3 or 4 tiered like infrastructure. I wouldn't necessarily call it a race, but like these are the things that are all being executed in parallel, right? They're all individual initiatives. But when all executed on, it's going to create like a much more cohesive, like I guess, ecosystem for something that kind of resembles what we've already seen in the past from like from other metaverse experiments. I would say like a sandbox or Decentraland. Like these things usually are built, by some foundational team or organization that's already pre-funded and such. Yeah. It didn't have like the organic roots that Bitmap has, right? So. That is the big ultimate like experiment behind bitmaps is like the community is kind of tasked to build out these individual components, and then
that's definitely the challenge, but it also represents an opportunity because something like Bitmap has never been done before, and it really tasks the community to go and build out whatever they think the metaverse to be, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a challenge, but it's an important one, and I think this is the first time we have like an open source metaverse like foundation.
Yeah, so I think that stuff's around the corner. So 23.1 thousand. We're gonna keep our eyes on this every single week to see the progression of ecosystem expansion. But yeah, I don't anticipate seeing that number like getting the previous like great growth rate.
Correct.
Until all these different like primitives exist, right? And we can start seeing like deployments.
Yeah, and then we'll have to decide, it's like, do we count bitmap holders or do we count parcel holders separately?
I guess I'll be up for the platformers and indexers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I think if you hold a parcel, it counts, man. You're part of the bitmap ecosystem.
Oh, for sure. But it's different, right? Because Magic Eden's display is like 0.bitmap. For a parcel, it's going to be 0.0.bitmap.
Correct.
Right? So it feels like a different class of asset in a sense.
It is.
Even though it's like part of the same ecosystem.
Yeah.
I could see like a different categorization of that. But nonetheless, fuck it. Dude.
Still another number to track and like see where it goes. All right, so speaking of, I mentioned Iman so Chris earlier. He has an update. It says for district customization is now live. And so definitely watch this video and please retweet this. That way people can see what they
Whoa,
can do.
what are we looking at here, dude?
So
Colors.
we're looking at an interface, and if you own this bitmap, you can select it and you can change the texture of it.
Interesting.
And so
to be specific, because if you're new to this concept, all these structures are being rendered based on the
transaction count on your bitmap.
Correct. So this is an application of DMT, right? This is all on-chain
Yes.
data components that are being leveraged to create new digital value layers, which in this case is an actual 3D virtual environment, right?
That's right.
And you can customize each of these different rendered buildings to your liking, which I believe are like external portals to like you know, their own dedicated experiences,
instance,
right?
yeah,
instances, which is very cool.
Yeah. So if let's say you owned one of these parcels, you could click on it and you could render out your own virtual world. And I think he gives you like templates to kind of start out with.
Okay, that's very cool. So most likely we're gonna have IMSO Chris back on at some point in the future to kind of like break down the new, you know, the new platform upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, and so you can see him changing kind of the ground texture and then obviously the building texture here.
Yeah. Very
and then
cool.
you can select the different buildings.
Very cool. Yeah, dude. So we're going to get our hands on this soon, and we're going to probably do like a full breakdown of how to like actually use this tool.
Yeah, look at that. It's not arbitrary, dude.
That's very, very sexy looking, dude. That's like what Miami would look like if,
if it was in the metaverse.
Yeah. If like some Picasso got his hands on like, you know, a paintbrush that just paints all over everything, you know?
All right. We got another update from Bitlodo here.
Shout out Bitlodo.
I just published some updates to bitlords.land, bitmap price display. If the bitmap is for sale on Magic Eden, inscription tab, view all inscriptions that originate in the block. All collections from Ordinals collections GitHub were indexed. So yeah, let's check out bitmap.land here, or sorry, bitlords.land. And let's look at. Oh, yeah, I remember this. So 3,007 unique patterns found.
Wow.
Look at all these, like, non-arbitrary patterns, dude.
This is pretty cool. Do they all have names or no?
Let's see.
It just has an amount,
first occurrence.
Interesting. Wow. So there's a lot of duplicates, I guess, obviously. That's what the amount count stands for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool. So where are the punks at? I guess a lot of these, so the one on the far right, bottom right, can be interpreted as a punk, right?
Yeah.
Those 32s are those specific punks.
I mean, remember when we were talking about the number of bitmaps, like 800,000? That's like big enough to be a fungible token-esque.
Yeah, it's a large enough like token supply, I guess, even though they all have like their own uniqueness to them.
Correct.
You could theoretically, like apply utility components of, you know, fungible tokens like governance weight mechanisms, one bitmap, one vote type stuff.
Yeah, like for example, like a single transaction, there's 88,000.
Yeah,
almost 89,000 of them.
I mean, like the single blocks.
The single blocks, yeah.
Yeah,
and so here's just kind of breaking down like the different patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Interesting. So yeah, there's like so many. There's like already like embedded PFP projects within Bitmap, basically.
Yeah.
You know, you could just wrap a whole ecosystem around them. Yeah, build a community around it. If you guys own some sort of pattern,
right?
You know, meet up with your pattern friends. Build a neighborhood or with these patterns, stuff like that. You know, that's kind of what's cool about Bitmap. It can be leveraged in so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, so this is
a new 3D renderer, dude.
Yeah, this is actually looking at a particular bitmap.
Very nice. This is clean, dude. This is very clean looking.
Yeah.
Oh, I love seeing all this information in this data, dude. Oh, look at all that.
All this data.
That's all potential juice for some developer out there that wants to leverage it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
He's got a link to Mscribe to inscribe the individual parcels.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so good breakdown.
All right, good updates for there.
All right, so
speaking of neighborhoods.
Yeah, another interesting one. So discover your Ordinals neighborhood. Flex famous neighbors, invest in your neighborhood, build a monopoly, throw a street party. So basically, Axie made outlines that if your parcel lies within a given difficulty adjustment period, So every 2016 blocks is their own neighborhood.
Mm. Yeah, this kind of gives you like a visualization, I guess, of like which, like, because you can actually see who the owners are of these specific bitmaps, right? And you can actually potentially, I don't know, build communication between them. It would be nice if we could build a communication layer between different addresses and such.
Yeah.
We've always wanted that to exist in like Decentraland.
Yeah.
That's always been one of the biggest like curses of being a landowner in Decentraland's history. Is like, dude, there's just no way to like really communicate with the people around me and like collaborate, you know?
Yeah. So this is your neighborhood, dude.
Right on, dude. All right, let's see. Where's 100?
Right here.
Can I? Okay, so my good pal 99 and 101. I wish. Are they the same person? Let's see. Same address?
CZ0 and no, different.
Oh, they're different. So I have multi neighbors here. Very cool, dude.
Yeah.
So I saw a comment. Somebody saying like that they thought they asked the question is like does living around like us, our bitmaps somehow increase the value?
That's funny. When we were building in Decentraland, we started building in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, there's like a bunch of builders around us.
Yeah, I don't know if the value of their shit went up, though, to be honest. But there was a little bit of like a community of people. Like, you know, we had Frankie.
Yeah.
He was our neighbor.
That's right.
And we had battle racers and like others, you know, they're building around us. We had like a little hot zone within Decentraland.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that happening. It's like, you know, you like somebody, you like what they're about.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's, let's build around them. Let's build like a nice little neighboring ecosystem, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think this is a really cool concept and just kind of leveraging the data on Bitcoin's blockchain anyways here.
Yeah, and somebody, I forget who, said it's like it's the equivalent of building next to the block runner is the equivalent of building next to the Playboy Mansion. Somebody said that. And I was like, yeah, right, dude. Like, there's nothing Playboy-esque going on over here. Like,
it's a Playboy Mansion.
Dude, yeah, what do you think, TJ? Do you feel like you're near the Playboy Mansion?
No.
Yeah,
that was pretty concise there.
Yeah,
direct.
We're as far away from Playboy action over here, dude.
Yeah. I mean, what would you say? Like, what
dude,
would it be like?
What, us?
Yeah. If it's not Playboy,
it's
what
more
is
like
it?
one of those esports houses.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like building next to like an Office Depot or something, dude. Hey, I don't know. We'll see, dude. Like, we'll see. Right now, it's we're on the up and up, dude. So maybe one day you'll feel like you're next to a Playboy Mansion. We could do that. Maybe like whenever we deploy stuff on 100.bitmap.
Okay. Well, shit. We should talk to a Playboy.
Shit.
Set up a mansion at 100.bitmap.
What's like the most Playboy like number you can think of?
69, dude.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That's
11 for the bunny ears.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe 77.
Ooh, 17.
17.
It's like a crooked ear.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Well, don't look up Playboy. Anyways, all right. So find your neighbors, lads.
Yeah. All right, Bitoshi with an update. Time to open up bitmap.land development.
Dang, it's been a while since we've heard Bitoshi like talk about new developments, dude.
Yeah, so the goal for bitmap.land to pull together the community and everything built on Bitmap pulled into one central index. I like to build this with you all. Let's come together to make this.
What is that right there? That's
I think that's John Lennon.
I know, but in what?
Come together?
Oh.
That looks like a bitmap, doesn't it?
Yeah, but what is
what's happening
what is
there,
this?
Dude?
Yeah.
Is that just by like coincidence? I don't know. Anyways, so that's what John Lennon in the Bitmap Metaverse looks like, but in concept.
Yeah.
Which sounds very cool. Man, that's going to be cool, dude. The first concert on a Bitmap, that's going to be a big day.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody please do that.
Who would you want to see?
Who would I want to see?
Yeah.
Me and TJ, of course.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, dude. What was it? Pudge? That's the name of our band, dude. Pudge.
Does it sound good?
No.
That's a second, like, concise.
But it's on Bitmap, Will.
It's on Bitmap. So it's the best you got, you know?
All right. Well, I want to hear it then.
Yeah, we'll be the best band on Bitmap.
We will.
All right. I guess an update from us. So we have a video from Recursiverse just released today. No, yesterday.
Yeah, definitely go check that out, dude. That was a very much like
dude, Recursiverse is one of us. He sees what we see.
Yeah, I think he's like genuinely passionate about this metaverse thing.
Yeah.
And of the Bitcoin thing as well. So like it's the perfect marriage for him, just like us. Like it's the perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is one of us. And that interview was very insightful and like I enjoyed it a lot. I think we covered a lot of like important stuff.
Yeah, I agree. So in this tweet, we kind of like do a summary and we kind of break everything down. And if you guys could, please retweet this. That way we get a lot of people seeing what's happening on Bitmap with Recursiverse.
Correct. Yeah. I think if anybody cares about the future of Bitmap and what it is, like the development, like evolution pathway looks like moving forward, definitely want to be watching this or like at least, take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Finally, we got a tweet from Corv, dude.
Who's Corv, dude?
Corv.
A lot of people might not know who the fuck he is.
Yeah, if you don't know who Corv is, he is the developer of MetaZone and also my brother.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
You have a brother, dude? So if you've been following us for the last several years, you probably know this because, again, we built a lot of stuff in Decentraland.
Yeah.
With Corv. And Corv is, our lead, basically tech whiz who builds everything for the metaverse.
Corv's our lord, dude.
Correct. So he's over here cooking some new virtual stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not only were we working on Mscribe, which is more like an infrastructure platform.
Yeah, it's just a way to kind of support the whole Bitmap ecosystem.
Yeah, from a very primitive protocol layer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, and but eventually the reason to set these technical foundations is to enable stuff like this. Like again, the fun stuff, the actual meat of the metaverse, right? The virtual environment stuff.
The sticky stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. So here's Corv.
Yeah, so Bitmap Metaverse is coming. So here's got a picture, a little tease of like the virtual environment and a bunch of orange squares, dude.
Now, do you want to like leave this as a tease or kind of like break down a little bit of as far as like what the utility of what this could represent?
Yeah, because the way that we look at it is with every bitmap having, X number of parcels, what we're thinking is maybe it makes sense to allow those parcels to exist together in a way, in the same way that IMSO Chris has it. But the way that we're seeing it is like people should be able to deploy anything within that virtual environment. So if you own a parcel, you have rights to deploy content there.
Okay.
And that content can be anything from like what we call metas, which are applications, metaverse-enabled tokenized applications.
Yeah.
These applications can be anything. Could be like a DeFi protocol. It could be a game. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And it's deployable within the confines of what you own within the virtual environment. So in this case, it would be a parcel.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess now is a good time to kind of like showcase some MetaZone creations or some metas. So this is an example of what's been done in Decentraland, right? So
yeah,
we built a platform and we onboarded the developers and the 3D artists, everybody who wants to contribute to the construction of the application layer of the metaverse. They come in and build these apps, aka metas.
Yeah, and so here's a project we were working with, CyberStrife. They released a game called CyberStrife, and it's a game that's deployable currently in Decentraland, but it's basically like an MMORPG-esque where you have all this gear and you have like this tower, and that tower gets attacked by enemies, and then with a team you can attack and defend your tower.
Correct. So basically what you're looking at is like a 3D revolving piece of content here, and that's at surface layer, that's all it looks like. But when you actually purchase and install this piece of content, aka meta, on I guess like a compatible virtual land, so like this virtual environment stack that we just kind of like teased with Corv, this would be a new grounds for metas to exist on top of, right?
That's right.
So now you as an owner of this piece of content, you could go on MetaZone, register that you actually have ownership of that land, that parcel within that 3D space. Now I have the rights to install this piece of content. It's going to be there. Mm-hmm. It's going to be deployed in world.
And it's functional.
Yeah, but you don't really see the function here on display. Maybe that's like something that needs to be added to meta, like a video. Well, it exists, but not specifically for this meta. But this is a full-fledged game ecosystem around these assets, right?
Yeah, that's
like you're saying, you activate it, you pay a microtransaction or not, depends on the dev, how they want to design their game. But it starts like a whole like tower defense game.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's a whole play to earn ecosystem around that.
And not only that, it's also designed to be composable with other applications.
Yeah.
And so what you would do is you take this like a tower defense game, you mix it with another type of game, and then you have two different games running in the same parcel location.
Yeah.
And if one game has a ton of traction, they come to play that game, they're going to see the other game there, and then you have like this like supportive sort of ecosystem.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the superpower unlock, right? Because the 99.9% of us who bought bitmaps, we're not developers. We can't code. We're not game developers. We've never made a game in our life. Most of us probably only consumed them in our lifetime. So there's no chance in hell we're ever going to be able to do this to attract, the right foot traffic to our virtual spaces that we own, right? So we got to leverage the developers out there that do exist that can produce these types of content.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is take ownership of them and deploy them. And now I get all the super powerful benefits that they have unlocked.
That's right.
On my own land. And then I could do with that however I please. If the ultimate goal of generating foot traffic so that I can, I don't know, show them some kind of personal agenda.
Sure.
It's like, hey, you know what? I like that you guys are all here playing my games, but really you need to stop eating meat. That's really what I want to get across. Is like, so let me slap a bunch of like PETA signs all around my property while you guys are over here killing animals at this game. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. It's infinite in scope, just like the internet is.
Yeah.
And how the metaverse is supposed to be, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And think of it as like a 3D webpage with like functionality and multiplayer built into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's part of what it is we're trying to unlock. This is just scratching the surface, right? But, yeah, there's a lot that goes into this.
And so this is like one interpretation of like what we think the metaverse can be. Of course, let's say if you have a parcel, you can probably connect that parcel into another service, maybe ours, where it's like your own virtual world. Like you could do anything within it. It's like infinite space.
Yeah, right? And this is just like just like a starting framework too. If you're going to leverage that, and you're a developer yourself, you want to onboard a community into your district, just leverage that as a starting point and add different layers of new functionality on top of that, right? Maybe like a builder tool dedicated to your district. Who knows?
Yeah.
And you can potentially merge the two ecosystems together and create something unique.
Yeah.
That's the coolness about Bitmap, right?
Yeah. So we're excited. There's a lot of work to be done still, and hopefully we get to show you something eventually here. But yeah, that's it for us. Let us know if we've missed anything in the Bitmap ecosystem. And most importantly, be sure to subscribe, like, and share with close friends.
And go to theblockrunner.com to subscribe to our newsletter.
That's right. All right, guys, appreciate it, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.